be, although it seems like the Colts are a team that he is heavily linked to. Of course, he's set to become a free agent tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. So many dominoes that we are awaiting to see fall here with quarterbacks. We mentioned the Colts. We should talk about the Colts because they also pulled off a pretty big trade yesterday, helping out their defense. Rejoined now by our NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. And the fact that Chris Ballard was able to get DeForest Buckner from the 49ers, this definitely makes another impact name there on this defense. Ian.
Yeah, this really young, tough defense only got better yesterday for the Indianapolis Colts. And this DeForest Buckner deal, which really had been in the works for some time, was an extremely complicated and very secret deal. It included a bunch of moving parts. First of all, for the 49ers, they wanted to sign Eric Armstead, which they did. He gets 5 years, $85 million. That's a lot of money for a really, really good defensive lineman. And the 49ers made the decision they could not keep both players who they loved. So what did they do? They went out and they very quietly found a market for DeForest Buckner. And in return for trading him to Indianapolis, they get a first-round pick, a huge haul for the former first-round player, DeForest Buckner. And, of course, that's not all, because he also gets a $21 million per year contract. So that's what was going on behind the scenes. Buckner, of course, needed to do a deal with Indianapolis to eventually complete this trade. A massive deal for both sides that happened yesterday.
Ballard does it yet again. Terrific trade for them, shoring up that defensive line. Ian Rappaport, as always, we appreciate it. And the theme that we have been actually seeing over the past couple of days is teams out there trying to shore up their defensive line. They see how important it is to get to the quarterback, clog up that middle, especially when you see Patrick Mahomes, for example. People always say the best way to get to him is right up there, up the middle. So here we go. They get to DeForest Buckner, who's been a great player for the 49ers for the past few years, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, he's been one of those guys that's just disrupting the quarterback, and like you mentioned, he's a guy that you can move around. I mean, you can move him outside if you want to. You can move him at 3 technique over the guard. You can put him over at center, so he's very versatile from that standpoint. And for the 49ers, they just got another first-round pick. But we know they're going to turn around and draft another pass rusher, right? That's what they do. So, yeah.
Or get a wide receiver, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they could get a Judy out there or a CeeDee Lamb, you know?
Yeah,
so
certainly.
They could improve themselves. How did you look at this deal?
I think this is a tremendous acquisition for the Colts. Let me tell you what they love about him. First of all, only 25 years old. They love his length. 6'7", really long arms. My arms are nowhere near as long as his. They love his leadership, that he strips the ball, sacks, obviously. They feel that with him and Darius Leonard, they have a powerhouse defense now. This is a team that feels like in the next decade, they should win 2 or 3 Super Bowls, that they have that much young talent. If they can get the quarterback, of course, they thought they had him in Andrew Luck, but if they can get the quarterback, they have enough pieces. And again, we keep going back to this.
Yes, we do.
Especially if there's going to be some opening in the AFC, if Brady is on the move, they feel like they are poised to move to the very top with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Judy, playing off what you just said, though, I'm curious if they think Phillip Rivers is that guy. And I understand he's not a long-term answer for anyone at this point.
He's a bridge.
I get it, but at some point, build the bridge, right? At some point, you just have to go for it.
That's a great point.
I mean, you know, so you're gonna hire Phillip Rivers for 2 years. While everyone else gets older, everyone needs to be paid then. I mean, they've got to do this now, in my opinion. And by the way, Darius Leonard already makes 1 million tackles. I think we all know that.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Imagine how productive he can be now, and he's already highly productive. I mean, it's a win-win. The big except, though, is a big one because it's except the quarterback. They have it all in place except the quarterback. Chris Ballard can work miracles. He's really, really good at his job, highly respected. I understand all of that. But the but in Indianapolis is a big one.
No, absolutely. So we wait to see if Phillip Rivers is the answer there in Indianapolis. For the 49ers, how do you think this trade affects them? Obviously, they're not as strong without DeForest Buckner on the D-line.
They're not, and he is a great team leader type. Everybody loved him there. So, yes, it's a loss there, but we know their defensive line is insane. I expect that they will turn around and draft another defensive lineman. They locked up Armstead yesterday. Of course, they have Bosa. Look, it's a step back. I suspect that they will figure out a way to make up for it a little bit. You don't replace him right away, but I think they're okay. This is an area where they seem to draft extremely well.
And I know that 49er fans look at it as, okay, they picked Eric Armstead, who had the one productive season, but he hasn't been healthy over his former Oregon Duck teammate, DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, I think Eric Armstead probably a little bit more of a pass rusher than DeForest Buckner, whereas Buckner, you were talking about the length. I mean, he's really good against the run. He reminds me a lot of Chris Canty, who I played against with the Giants and against when he was in Dallas. Those long arms are a nightmare for offensive linemen, especially short rounds like me. So I think when you look at this 49ers defense, totally loaded, DeForest to go along with the guys you mentioned, they're going to be just fine. Oh, and they got a first-round pick for him, too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they do.
it's purely economical here. They had just paid DeForest, and they just locked up Eric Armstead. So just kind of run out of money in the D-line room. You can only make it rain for so much.
And you're going to have to pay Bosa, obviously.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's coming.
Yeah. It seems important when you have a big guy up front on defense who can help lead the way. I get the middle linebacker thing. I love the middle linebacker mystique and everything else, and I buy into it. But it feels like when a big guy up front, look at what Calais Campbell's going to do now for an already great Ravens.
We haven't even talked about
the Ravens. Great personality to go along with being a heck of a player and everything else. But when you can get that leadership, I don't know if it's just mentality, Sean. You can tell me I'm off base if you think so. But I just feel like when up front there is a guy who says, I got this. Let the middle linebacker do the talking. But a guy who says, I got this, it affects an entire team and a whole defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As an offensive line, when you want to run the football and be productive, you've got to get to the Mike linebacker. It's hard to get to him if you've got guys that are logging up. I take it back to the 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense. All right, Ray Lewis was phenomenal, but he had Sam Adams and Tony Sirianni. So good luck getting to Ray.
No, exactly. And DeForest Buckner, by the way, turns 26. Happy birthday on behalf of everyone here at NFL Films. Enjoy your $21 million. Yeah, how about that? That's getting it done.
Winning.
Well done.
Everybody is celebrating.
Yes, we're all about that. And who is all about Todd Gurley? We'll see if the Rams still are. Supposedly, he is on the trading